Today's mini lesson is on ER and IR verbs in the present tense. We've recently studied AR verbs, and these work in a very similar way. We see that the infinitives, although they look similar, end either rather in ER or IR. So we have verbs like comer, to eat, leer, to read, correr, to run, vivir, to live, escribir, to write, or recibir, to receive. The conjugation of these ER and IR verbs is very similar to what we saw with AR verbs, just we have a slight change. In the yo, it's exactly the same. We have an O, como, leo, corro, all the way through the pattern. While in the tu form, in the AR verbs, they ended in as, now we switch the A for an E. Comes, lees, corres, vives. The el, e, usted, instead of it being the letter A, now it's going to be the letter E, which sounds like A. Come, lee, corre, vive. The nosotros and nosotras is where we see our first change. We see for the ER verbs, hemos, corremos, but in the IR verbs, it's imos, vivimos, escribimos, recibimos. So ER verbs are hemos in the nosotros, while IR verbs are imos. And then our last pattern is the ellos, ellas, ustedes. Instead of it being an AR, now it's just the EN. The 3 easy steps to conjugating ER, IR verbs. First, we want to identify who's doing the action. So if we have a yo, tú, él, usted, all the way through our pattern, who is doing our action? Next, whether it's ER or IR, we're going to do the same thing by cutting off the ER or the IR to get our stem. And our last step is we're going to add the appropriate endings. Just as a review, the AR verbs look like this: o, as, a, amos, an. ER and IR verbs are the exact same thing throughout the pattern except for in the nosotros form. We see it's hemos and imos. Again, the E, hemos, because it's an ER verb. I for imos because it's an IR verb. So the endings are yo, o, tú, es, él, ella, usted, e, nosotros, hemos for ER, imos for IR. If you're inclined for the vosotros, you could use es, things like coméis, or vivís, is for the IR verbs, ellos, ellas, and ustedes, en. So the conjugations look like this in practice. Comer, to eat, and vivir, to live. Yo como, yo vivo. Tú comes, tú vives. Él, usted come. Él, usted vive. Nosotros comemos. Nosotros vivimos. Vosotros coméis. Vosotros vivís. Ellos, ellas, ustedes comen. Ellos, ellas, ustedes viven. Again, we see that there's an E for the ER verbs and an I for the IR verbs. Just like in the AR verb conjugations, the present tense has multiple meanings in English compared to the simple translation of the Spanish. Yo como can mean I eat, I do eat, and I am eating all simultaneously. Yo como los tacos. That could be interpreted as I eat tacos, or I do eat tacos, or I am eating tacos. And just like we saw with AR verbs, once we've already established who the speaker is, we don't necessarily have to include the yo every time because the verb itself indicates como, that's the yo form. So this yo could just disappear. Como mucha comida mexicana. When we're asking a question, we also don't have to include any helping verbs. I can just simply state, ¿Comes la comida hispana? Do you eat Hispanic food? Or are you eating Hispanic food? Depending on the question's context. Your turn for practice. In just a moment, please pause the video and try to do the conjugations that you see for these verbs with the appropriate pronoun listed in parentheses. When you finish, continue with the recording to check your answers. Pause. Great job. Hopefully you came up with these answers. Comer, como, yo como. Vivir, vives, tú vives. Leer, ellos leen. Recibir, ellas reciben. Correr, nosotros corremos. Comer, él come. Escribir, nosotros escribimos. Leer, lee. Escribir, escribo. You can see the purple are our yo forms. They both end in O, even though they're ER and IR differences. We can see that for the tú form, it ends in an ES. Our el, usted form ends in the E, this bluish color. And then we see our difference happening between the nosotros, IR, imos, ER, hemos. And our last pattern is EN for both the ellos and ellas forms. Hopefully this serves as a good review for you of ER and IR verbs in the present tense. Muchas gracias y buena suerte.